are discrete time signals and systems. It's going up, but yeah. Okay. Now this is much on similar lines to what you've studied in serial system, but there are some differences and some very important differences that will come once we start doing this. So I'm not going. I'll quickly move ahead, but there are some points that I will stress and emphasize, and you need to remember them. So first, let's just look at what this actually means. ESP. ESP is basically digital signal processing. This is the first word, this is the second word, and this is the third word. There are 3 words in it, and everything has its significance. If it was that the first word was not there, signal processing would have been a much more wider topic, because then it would have included what we call as analog signals as well. So there is something called as ASP also, which is analog signal processing. You also have something which is called as MSP, which is called as mixed signal processing, which has analog as well as digital, and you're processing both of them together. But obviously these are much more advanced things, and analog signal processing is what you actually do when you are studying Dr. Ayushi's subjects. That's basically analog signal processing. You have some devices and you send some signals and you get some waveforms. You send a continuous time signal and you get a continuous time signal as the output. So that is ASP pretty much, in some sense. But digital signal processing is something completely different. So is there anybody who can tell me what is the difference? What is a continuous signal? What is
which exists at every time interval? Any time interval that we consider on the time axis, there exists a value for that.
Okay. So I've written
has a unique value at every value of time.
Yeah, so I've written 3 things. Just hold on, I will come back to whatever each and everyone is saying. So I've written something called continuous here, and then there is something discrete here, and then there is a digital here. Now, all these 3 things are different. Sometimes instead of writing continuous, people also write analog. But there is also a fundamental difference between analog and continuous. We'll come to that later, but let's just discuss some very basic things. So we are focusing on continuous, discrete and digital. Now, Daksh, what were you saying about continuous?
सर अगर टाइम एक्सिस पर कोई भी पॉइंट लें तो कंटिन्यूस सिग्नल एक ऐसा सिग्नल है जिसकी एक वैल्यू होगी, एंड इट शुड नॉट हैपन कि वहां पे वैल्यू एग्जिस्ट भी करे.
ओके, एक सेकंड, जस्ट अ सेकंड. There are 2 subjects. Yeah, so you're saying that there is a value for every time, and it should not be that for some time there is no value. That is what you're saying?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's half complete. Is there anybody else who can tell me what is a continuous signal? Yes, करो, कुछ भी बोलो.
So it's just a signal that has a value at every point of time. I mean,
every point of time, it has a value at every point of time. Okay, that is pretty much what.
That's
this is but it's a better attempt, I would say, but this again incomplete. Chaman?
Differentiable at each point.
Chamanpreet, Prakash डालो इस पे जरा.
That is same, sir. What Duck said, sir.
Okay. So that is obviously a safe answer. What somebody else said, huh, Chaman? Anyways, okay. let's look at these things. These are important concepts and you must know. Every signal has two things. One is an amplitude, okay, and then there is time. So it is the amplitude that varies with respect to time, right? So we look at signals from two perspectives. We look at signals from the perspective of amplitude. We look at signals from the perspective of time. For a continuous signal, the amplitude can take any value. And time can take any value. Or I can say that amplitude belongs to a set of real numbers and time belongs to a set of real numbers. I'll make a picture and I will explain this in a better way. Suppose there is a signal that is something like this. So this is the time axis and this is your signal x. I say that this signal is a continuous time signal because and it is extending up to infinity, or it is not, it is here also extending to infinity. So if I take this time here, then this is some value, any value. If I take a point close to this is also some value. If I take point close to this, it is also some value, and there is also a value in between these points. So the time axis can take pretty much any value. So like as Daksh and Ishan and even Chaman said that, you know, a signal which is defined at all instants of time. So of course this signal is defined at all instants of time, but time is only one aspect of signals. There is another aspect which is the amplitude. So a continuous time signal is that signal in which the amplitude can take any value and those values can be defined at any instant of time. Now suppose, let's say that the amplitude here has a value 4, the amplitude here has a value 3.2, the amplitude here has a value 2.4, the amplitude here has a value 1.5. So these are all real numbers, and amplitude can take any value. Amplitude can also be 4.1, the amplitude can also be 3.7, the amplitude can be 3.6, the amplitude can be 2.6566. So amplitude can take any value. So a continuous signal is that signal in which the amplitude and the time can take any value. Or you can say like this also, continuous time signal is defined for all time instants where the amplitude belongs to a set of real numbers. That is what a continuous time signal is. So Ishan and Daksh and Chaman, they were all half complete because they were discussing only about time, and perhaps they had in their mind the idea of amplitude, but it has to be explicitly mentioned. Analog signal is a continuous signal which is defined for an interval of time. So this signal is an analog signal if it is defined between T1 and T2. If the T1 and T2 extend to infinity, we will call it as a continuous time signal. So I'll say that a sine wave is a continuous time signal. But I say sine wave which is between 0 to 2 pi, it is an analog signal. But then again, it pretty much means the same thing. Analog signal is a subset of continuous. So that is what a continuous signal is. Now let's look at what is a discrete signal. For discrete signals, the amplitude still belongs to real numbers. Amplitude can take any value, but time belongs to a set of integers. What is the sign for integers, Chaman?
Sir, Z, I guess.
Is it?
It is for whole numbers. I think it's for integer, it's sine.
No, I'm asking because I'm not remembering it. I'm not testing you. I don't remember it. I'm asking because of that. Batao.
Sir, it is Z.
Yes, sir, it is Z.
Okay. I forget this all the time, so that's why I was asking. Anyways, so A discrete time signal is a signal in which the amplitude can take any value, any real value, but time will take integer values. And this signal should look like this. This signal will look like this. So this will be like this. So time, generally we denote time as n here, and we denote this signal as xn, and you will see that this is what we'll be dealing with. Now these instants, these are integer values, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this would be say -1, this would be say -2. But these amplitudes, they can be anything. This could be 3, this could be 1.5, this could be 3.2, this could be 2.7, this could be 3.4, I don't know, this could be 1.7. So the amplitudes for discrete time signal still belong to real numbers, but now the time is discretized in the sense that now it takes only integer values, and integers could be positive or negative. So that is basically a discrete signal for you. It is called discrete signal. It is also called as discrete time signal. So you can see that the emphasis is on time being discrete. So it is the time that is being discrete. That is why it is called a discrete time signal. This is the second signal. And then comes your digital signal. And I think probably now you can imagine that the amplitude takes fixed values. I'm writing this. A takes certain values and time belongs to integers. How does this signal look like? This signal looks like this. Let's look at this discrete and we will produce a digital signal using this. So, 3 will remain 3, 1.5, well, I mean, you can consider it as 1. Then this 3.2 will become 3. 3.2 will become 3. 2.7 will also become 3. 3.4 will become 3. If suppose this was 3, so this will also become 3. So now the amplitudes will take values say 0, 1, 2 and 3. So if the amplitudes are taking only certain values and the time is also discrete, then the signal is called as a digital signal. So I repeat again, a continuous signal is continuous in amplitude and continuous in time. That means amplitude can take real values, time can take real values. Discrete time signals are signals in which the amplitude can take real values, but time takes only discrete values. A digital signal is a signal in which the amplitude also takes fixed discrete values and time is a set of integers. Like for example, in binary number, when we write something binary, what are the possible values of amplitude? It is 0 and 1. That is why it is called binary. If it was tertiary, the amplitudes will take values 0, 1 and 2, 3 values. If the signal was quaternary, the amplitude values would be 0, 1, 2 and 3. So these are digital signals, but generally when we talk about digital signals, we are accustomed to think of zeros and ones only, because that's what we have studied all our lives. But digital signals, binary signal is actually a subset of digital signals. You can have R array digital signals, where R is the number of so-called digits. Like for example, if I say a 3 array digital signal will have amplitudes ranging from 0, 1, 2. So for example, if I say 3 array digital signal, then you know that its amplitudes will vary as 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, because it's 3. So these are the 3 values. If I say 4 array digital signal. That means the amplitude will take value 0, 1, 2 and 3. If I say 2 array digital signal, that means the amplitude is a binary signal which takes value 0 and 1. So I hope now you actually understand the fine difference between what is a continuous signal, what is a discrete signal, and what is a digital signal. So I hope it's clear, everyone. At least you have some understanding. Someone
Yes,
expecting that? Yes or no? I'm sorry?
अरे वाला part था ना पूरे 2 array.
मुझे I can't understand. क्या कह रहे हो?
Sorry, array वाला part.
हाँ, array वाला part. So basically, any digital signals are basically termed as R array signals. That's the name we call. Now R tells you the number of symbols. So basically, if R obviously has to be, should have at least, if R is 2, then the number of signals that they will be in, the amplitude will take values 0 and 1. These are the values that the amplitude can take. If R is 3, which means it is a 3 array signal, then the values that amplitude can take are 0, 1 and 2. If R is 4, it is called as 4 array signal. Digital signal, 4 array digital signal. So the amplitude will take values 0, 1, 2 and 3 and so on. So generally you deal with this kind of a signal in your DLD, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. This is what computer stores. So we say that, computer stores, information in digital format. But it is actually 2 array format. It is a binary format. Sometimes we say binary format also. So then it's a mistake to say that the digital and binary are the same. Binary means R is 2. Digital means it is an R array system. I hope it is clear. Okay. So then coming now back again to digital signal processing. Now you know what digital means. Digital means that the amplitude is discretized and the time is also discretized. That means it has fixed values and those values are actually integer values. That is what it means, what we mean by this term digital. We already know what is a signal. Signal is any fluctuation that carries an information, right? And that information is carried in the pattern of fluctuation. Like for example, if I draw this signal, then if I say this signal carries information, then it carries information in the way the signal is moving, up, down, circle, up, down, up, down, up, down. So the information is carried in the pattern. So if this is one signal and this is another signal, then you can say that these two signals are different. Why? You say so because the pattern of these two signals are different. So this will carry a different information and this will carry a different information. So signal is basically a fluctuation in time, because generally we talk of signals in terms of time. So it's a fluctuation in time, but it could be a fluctuation in anything. It could also be a fluctuation in space. Like for example, for a pressure wave, as you move away from your mouth, the pressure amplitude decreases. So the variation there is with respect to distance rather than time. But since we are talking about signal and systems here, this index over here will always remain time. Okay, so signal is any fluctuation that varies with respect to time. Digital signal means it is a fluctuation which has a discrete amplitude and is defined at discrete time. So signal is also clear. That term is also clear. Processing. What do we mean by processing? A signal comes to us, we may modify it, we may increase its amplitude, we may decrease its amplitude, we may stretch it, we may compress it, we may add it to some, we may multiply it to some other signal, we may perform convolution to it, we may allow only certain frequency components of it to pass through, so we can send it through a filter, So processing is all the manipulation that we can do on signals. So the entire term DSP means manipulation of signals, manipulation of signals which have discrete amplitude and are defined for discrete time. That is what digital signal processing is all about. Please remember, manipulation of signals which are discrete in amplitude and discrete in time. I hope this is clear to everybody now, that if somebody asks you what is digital signal processing, then it should come out of your mouth. It is the manipulation of signals which are discrete in amplitude and discrete in time. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So moving ahead from here, let's look at how exactly do we get these signals. I mean, they do exist in nature, discrete signals, but generally, just a second. Yeah, sorry. So now the question that comes to our mind is, how do we get these signals? By next class, I would have mastered the art of deleting a large chunk. That I promise. Not a command. And I know, I just don't know how to do it, man, right now. Ajay, that part, if I keep pressing it again and again, it will just go away. Yeah, but then how many times will I press it? Anyways, okay. It's okay. Thank you. I mean, there is another way I'll do it. Okay. Anyway, so let's see how xn actually comes. Okay, this is the question. Now, the obvious answer is, so xn is basically the discrete signal. It is a discrete time signal. So we always begin digital signal processing with a discrete time signal. Because from continuous you go to discrete, from discrete you go to digital. And the process is as follows. Let me just write. Continuous time goes to discrete time goes to digital. This is how it happens. What are the processes? The process here is sampling. So continuous time signal gives you a discrete time signal when you sample it. A discrete time signal gives you a digital signal when you quantize it. Both the things we'll study in this course, but just for your information, we are right now here. We are studying this part. So you're given a signal xt, which is a continuous time signal, and we need to reach xn. How do we do that? So as I said, we sample that signal. So sampling is something that you must have heard of in signal system. So basically what we do is that we choose a certain time period, capital T, which we call as the sampling period. We choose a time period which is called as the sampling period, and after every interval of t, we pick up the signal value. So it is something like this. So suppose this is the signal, which is, this is time axis and this is xt. Let's say we sample this signal. So what I'm going to get? I'm going to get something like this. So this is time axis t. Remember, it is still t. It is not n, it is still t. So let's say that I choose sample starting from 0. So I get this sample because this is the amplitude. So approximately I get this sample. Then I take time interval t and I get a slightly higher value. Sorry. And this is the sample. Then I again take the same time and maybe I'll get a value like this. Sorry. Then I take another, I get value like this. Then I go and take this value, go smaller, then it starts to increase. Okay, so these intervals, these are t. So this is 0, this is t, this is 2t, this is 3t, this is 4t, this is 5t, this is 6t, and so on. These values, they can take any real number values. And this signal I call as XST. This is basically X and t. So what I've done is that instead of small t, I replace it by nt and I get a signal which is XST. This is still fundamentally a continuous time signal in the sense that though the values of the amplitudes are non-zeros, the value between the interval is 0. That is how we interpret this signal. So this is the step that we do. Once we do this, now what we do is we normalize the time axis with respect to capital T. We normalize the time axis with respect to capital T. So once we normalize this time axis, what do we get? We get 0 here, which is this. For this, we get 1 because we have divided this by t. Normalization by t means whatever are the values on time axis, we divide it by t. So we get 1. Now, here we get 2. Here we get 3. Here we get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, this signal is xn. Clearly notice that this n is an integer value, whereas here the values were multiples of capital T. Now these are not essentially integer values because if t is a decimal number, let's say t is 0.2, then these values are not integer values. These values are some real values. But once you normalize it with respect to capital T, you will always get integer values. And that is what we mean by discrete time signal, because time now takes integer values. So in that sense, the amplitude here can take any value. Depending upon the value of capital T, the time can also take any value. It is a real value. That is why we say that even XST or XT subscript S is also a continuous time signal, because the amplitude can be a real number and the time axis will also be a real number depending upon capital T value. But if you look at Xn, the amplitude can be real values, but time will always be discrete. That is why Xn is called as the discrete time signal. So this is how we obtain a discrete time signal. There is also a fundamental difference between S subscript St and Xn. And the difference is, if you look at XST graph, then by looking at the time axis, you can figure out what is the sampling period. Like if I make this graph and I say what is the sampling period, you'll say, sir, it is T. But if you look at xn, the information about sampling is lost. Because on the time axis, you see numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't, if you look at these numbers, you cannot tell what was the frequency at which the signal was sampled, because all you see are integer values. But if you look at this here, this axis here, then you know that it is 0t, 2t, 3t, and you know that t is the sampling period, so sampling frequency will be 1 upon 2. But that kind of an information does not come from xn. So st and xn may look similar, but if you take a closer look, they are fundamentally very different signals. This is still a continuous time signal, but this is a discrete time signal. This signal tells you about the sampling frequency. This signal does not tell you about the sampling. It has no information about the sampling. So this is a very important point that you must remember, that you obtain a discrete time signal from a continuous time signal, but once you do that, all the information related to sampling is lost. And that is why this is also considered to be an advantage of discrete time signal. Suppose you want to send something and it is a secret message. You sample a signal and you send it. Now, unless or until the receiver knows the sampling frequency, the person will never be able to decipher the signal. And that is the strength of digital signal. So at the point of generation, you must know the value of t, capital T, at the receiver, and also you must know the value of capital T, because you cannot extract that value from xn, and therefore the signal remains hidden. So that was one of the initial motivation for these signals to be used in defense purpose for sending secret messages. I hope this concept is clear. How xn comes, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So I think what we'll do is that it's already 8:23. Should we stop? Bolo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Then I stop here, and let me discuss with Mukesh sir a little bit about how and what will be the marking scheme and how we'll proceed. I will put it up, and I will put notes of DSP on the group along with some videos. Please spare some time, because as you can see, I'm not putting up big PDFs. I will not put video lectures beyond 15-20 minutes. That's because last time I remember I used to give you like 15, 16, 20 pages of notes, and you used to find it difficult. But this time I'm going to keep the length of PDFs and the length of videos small. Please take time out. It will not take you more than an hour and a half to go through those videos. I'm not expecting that you remember everything. I simply want you people to have an idea of what I'm going to be discussing in the class, and then you can pick up some doubts. So if there are some doubts, you can ask right now. Otherwise, we will, exit. Okay, then I'll see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye. Good night.